All right. So how long have you been here now?
About 3 years.
3 years. And what's your role?
I'm the facility host, so I do a lot of our fitting of our athletes, touring big groups around, and then I do a lot of work with the collegiate program.
Okay. And what's the typical experience when some of those players come to the oven here?
It's pretty standard based on who they are. So a tour player, we're usually working on solving a problem, whether it's they're having an issue with irons, wedges, golf ball, driver, or hitting long-term research project. If we're working with a collegiate player, a lot of times it's giving them kind of a brand experience about what we can offer to the table. Starting at the golf ball, working our way all the way up through the set, be it wedges, irons, drivers, fairways, hybrids, putter, etc. A lot of times we'll spend the full day one-on-one, or usually two of us to the one athlete. Bring them in here, take them on a tour of the facility, explain to them some of the things that we do that are a little bit different than their competitors or our competitors, and then we'll take them through the paces similar to what we did with you guys today.
Now, could you talk a little bit about what is here at the facility and maybe some of the upgrades and changes over recent years?
A lot of the big things, as we're growing to get a lot more space. We've gained a lot of additional lab space, a lot of additional space in the back of the grind shop in terms of being able to manipulate golf clubs. A lot of the things that Mike Taylor talked about, those guys focus on, not only tour-specific product, but also doing the master models of all of our products that we're going to sell at retail. And it's pretty cool to see how those guys work both with our athletes and with the stuff that's in the facility.
What are your advantages now? Obviously, you have a short game facility has been expanded here a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what it is, number of holes, things like that. What's there for facility?
So it's a 3.5 acre facility, 3 target greens, and then a natural grass putting green. Each of the greens have somewhere between 9 and 13 holes on them, and then really infinite shots all the way around the facility. Longest shots being about 135 yards on in. 3 bunkers with some different sand in each of the bunkers. We do most of the fitting in that middle bunker there, where it's kind of a realistic type bunker shot. And then the other 2 stack side bunkers are a little more for looks. But we'll take a player out there and we'll work on either wedge, whether it's the grind on the bottom of the wedges, loft combinations in terms of dialing their distances in, or specifically golf ball, as we're starting to dial a golf ball into. We spent a lot of time on that recently with the new groove changes, making sure guys can get a golf ball they can still control.
Now, I know you had a lot of players here in the last number of weeks. You tell us a little bit about who was here and maybe their reaction to the facility and maybe what they saw and what they like and so forth.
We've had most of our guys through since the renovation now, and we'll see most of our guys at least once a year. Some guys we'll see 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year. We've had in the past 6 weeks, in the past 4 weeks, we've had Paul Casey, Trevor Immelman, Stuart Sink, Lucas Glover, and Anthony Kim in. Doing some commercial shoots and then also doing some testing of our new products. Early reaction to the new products has really been good. Anthony's got the driver and the fairway woods in. Stuart's got the driver and Lucas has got the driver and a 3-wood in. So we've really been able to hit the road running starting this season.
And who among all those players is still the most fanatic as far as equipment-wise? Paul Casey obviously is, I know he's a bit of an equipment fiend, but is there somebody that's more than any other?
Different in different ways, and we see that across all of our tour staff. Stu Sink really likes to get into the numbers. So we'll hit 15 or 20 balls and then come in and we'll really dissect the numbers. We'll get in on the TrackMan and analyze exactly what was going on. Lucas Glover is much more of a feel player. If he sees it, he feels it, and it looks good ball flight to his eye, he could care less about what the numbers say.
Yeah.
Casey's kind of in between. He likes the numbers to prove out what he does, but he's going to go by the gut feeling at first.
Yeah. And is there particular players that maybe like to hang out with Mike Taylor in the grind shop or things like that?
All the guys like to be back there. Casey's come in. He's come here in the 3 years I've been here. He's come here twice and not brought his golf clubs, or brought them just to have them re-gripped and loft and live, and not hit a single golf ball. Right. He'll come in just to hang out. See what's new, talk to the guys about what new products we're doing, talk with the engineers, meet with them, go to dinner and lunch with us, and just hang out. So, he loves being in the back talking race cars with Mike T and those guys, but it's cool.
It's kind of a nice thing. So
it is.
And tell me a little bit about your background. Maybe if there's a reader or something like that, or a listener that is thinking about this type of job. How do you get into this type of job? They're pretty rare.
They're very rare. I'm real fortunate, kind of right place at the right time. I'm a sports business major from Oregon and got in working with a lot of our student athletes out of Oregon, working with them in terms of convincing new student athletes to come to Oregon and recruiting and things like that. On the side, I was always a golfer, played high school golf, realized I wasn't going to be a collegiate golfer, but still had a big passion for the game. So I learned how to fit people for golf clubs. And I was actually in a retail environment, fitting athletes for golf clubs. It was just kind of the right place at the right time. What I knew at that point about fitting people for golf clubs is nothing compared to what I've learned working with the guys down here.
Yeah.
My first 6 months working down here was just stand there and take notes. And it's been awesome to learn, from Nike Rob and Mike Taylor and some of those guys, their wealth of knowledge and being able to regurgitate that. So.
Yeah, and you're talking about, we saw that today, just the number of engineers that were there and, almost a couple hundred years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's a valuable resource, something you can't get out of a book, right?
Not at all. And it's cool to see the passion that these guys still have for it. They've been in the business for a long time. They've seen tremendous changes in the industry. Being a little bit newer to the business, I've probably not known. I don't think I've ever hit a wooden wood.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit interesting, but that's my generation, and that's kind of the up and coming next talent.